right, so I'm back with another Bridgerton book breakdown, and today we're talking about Eloise's book To Sir Philip with Love. So last we left off, Eloise has been secretly exchanging letters with Marina's widower, Sir Philip Crane. It starts as like a condolence letter, and then it turns into something ongoing and them connecting intellectually. So eventually Philip writes and basically says, come meet me and see if we could make sense as husband and wife. Really, I think he was trying to see if he was being catfished, and he just wanted someone to take care of his kids, but I'm gonna get into that later. Now, Eloise being Eloise, she just decides to leave in the middle of the night, and she doesn't tell anyone. She leaves a note for her family, but it never actually gets to them, so the Bridgertons wake up and she's just gone. Meanwhile, Philip has no idea she's coming, so when she shows up at his estate, he doesn't have a chaperone there, he hasn't prepared, which is like insanely scandalous for the time, like y'all know. Now, here's the thing about Philip. He has serious childhood trauma from an abusive father. He's like really terrified of becoming like his father. So he struggles with parenting and avoids a lot of emotional conflict. So he's like, I need a wife who's good on paper, someone who can run the house, someone who can manage the kids. And it's very just not romantic. So when Eloise gets there, it's immediately awkward. The letters were warm, but in person, Philip is very blunt. And he's also like emotionally closed off, and the kids are like pulling pranks on her and testing her constantly. But Eloise grew up with like a million siblings, so she like is familiar with the chaos. You know what I'm saying? So she doesn't like overreact, but she slowly starts breaking ground with the kids because she treats them like children and not like burdens, which Sir Philip does sometimes. I will say there is one prank that goes a little too far with the kids, and Eloise gets hurt like really badly, and she's bedridden for a bit, and around that same time her brothers finally track her down. And when I tell you those Bridgerton men rolled up ready for violence, it was basically 3 against 1, and they were prepared to destroy Philip for potentially compromising their sister. I will say Philip handled his own because he did not back down, and he actually steps up. And because Eloise has been living there unchaperoned, the only way to protect her reputation is really marriage. So they just rush it basically and get married really quickly. Now, they do have feelings for each other, but they really connected more on an intellectual level, and they haven't really built that emotional foundation yet. So after the wedding, you actually start to see the cracks of that. Most of their conflict revolves around the children. Eloise suspects that the nursemaid is being cruel to the kids, and Philip dismisses her concerns at first, not because he doesn't care, but because he's terrified of conflict and facing the possibility that he might be missing what's going on in his own home. So Eloise eventually leaves the house in frustration, and that's when Philip witnesses the abuse himself, and it forces him to confront everything that he's been avoiding. And that's kind of the emotional climax of the book. And him and Eloise have this heart-to-heart, and Philip admits his fears of becoming like his father, and Eloise kind of talks about how she wants to be more than just, you know, a warm body in his bed. One of the things I really love about this book is how it highlights step parenting. Like, Eloise is so kind to the kids, and I think she's able to connect with them as someone who's lost a parent, and you know, they've experienced that as well. And I think if they adapt this storyline for season 5, I think changes will definitely be coming. I said that before, that Lady Danbury might leave and bring back her grandson for Hyacinth, but what if they flipped that and made him Eloise's love interest instead? Like, maybe they meet in London, have that spark, and he goes back home, and that's how they start the letter exchange. So it keeps the same concept of the letter exchange storyline from the books, but I think it'll give it that refresh that it needs for the screen. I also think Eloise is going to be the focus of next season, and we're probably going to see her feeling a little more isolated in part 2, and I think that loneliness could easily be the emotional setup for her season. That's just my thoughts. Shonda, call me. Don't. I'll still be here breaking it down. Make sure you guys follow and catch me on my next breakdown.